NotebookLM is one of the best tools out there, but most people don't know about it or don't use it correctly, making it one of the most underrated tools. My goal with this video is to show you some of the main functionalities that this tool has that most people tend to overlook so that you can get most value out of the tool. First of all, and to begin with, what exactly is NotebookLM? NotebookLM is an AI-powered research, note-taking, and studying tool that is powered by Gemini, which is Google's main LLM, large language model. The main competitive advantage that NotebookLM has is that it is a source-grounded AI assistant, meaning that it is only going to use the resources and sources that you yourself give to the AI assistant in order to provide you an answer. What this does is two things. Number one, it eliminates or it lowers to the maximum levels possible the probability of having a hallucination or an incorrect answer. And number two, it's going to focus its responses in sources that you have verified before and that you trust, giving you a quality answer to your liking. Now, in the channel, we've done previous videos on NotebookLM, mostly focused on the learning capabilities that this tool has, which, by the way, if you're interested, highly recommend you check them out within our channel. But we haven't gone into the research capabilities. And that is, what if I don't have my sources yet? What if I have a work project or a personal interest and I want to start using NotebookLM and I want to find this list of reputable sources so that NotebookLM can use such sources to give me answers? Well, that's exactly what you're going to learn in this video. I'm going to show you two main ways in which you can add sources to your NotebookLM projects so that you can have the best quality answers possible. And I'm going to show you the differences because there's two different ways of doing this and there's a reason for that. There's a faster way and then a more efficient way that is going to take a bit longer but give you more quality. So without any further ado, guys, let's jump right into the practical part of this video. Perfect. So to access NotebookLM, you're just going to go into your browser and you're just literally going to type NotebookLM. You're going to look for this result right here, notebooklm.google. Okay. And you're just going to click on it and try NotebookLM. If it's the first time you access, it's going to ask you to log in or to sign up. You're just going to access with your Gmail account. And once you enter, you're going to see exactly this. Here's where you find your notebooks. Think of a notebook as a particular project. Like I said, this tool is a source-grounded AI assistant. So it's only going to give you responses related to the knowledge base that you have built. So this is where notebooks come in. Each notebook, think of it as a project in which you're going to add different sources. Let's look at, for example, one of my projects. In this case, notebooks is rather the right terminology to use. In this case, we have our own program here. So what I've done is I've added different resources and different PDFs related to our project. So here's our website, here's our dossier, here are some articles talking about us, etc. So all of this knowledge base is related to our program. So if I want to ask questions about our program, I can just enter this right here, and it's going to answer based on these sources that I have right here. But like I said, this requires you to have this list of sources. What if I don't have PDFs? What if I don't have websites? What if I don't have news articles that I need in order to create this knowledge base for my notebook? Well, that's exactly what we're going to learn. So we're going to go back into NotebookLM, and you're just going to create a new notebook. Okay, just like so. And this is exactly what we're going to be focusing on. Before we start, though, a good common practice that I would recommend is giving your notebook a title. In this case, I'm just going to call it Real Estate Live Practice, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Or I'm just going to call it Real Estate Analysis. Okay. And what you're going to do is focus here on adding sources, because as you can see, we can add here some sources, right? If we click on it, we're going to go back to that window that we had previously closed. And here's where you can upload your own files. So I could upload my PDFs if I had them, my YouTube videos if I had them, I can connect my Google Drive, or I can just paste plain text. But like I said, what if I don't have these files? Let's imagine, for this fictitious case, that I'm a real estate investor and I'm just starting in for the first time in real estate and I don't have information. I want to research, I want to have a good list of sources to conduct my questions, to conduct my analysis, and to invest, but I don't have them yet. Well, cool thing about NotebookLM is that we can actually use Gemini, we can use Google to find these sources. And we're going to do it right here. And I want to focus on this capability right here. So right now we're going to be searching the web. So we're going to paste here a little instruction of what we want to do. In this case, I've just written compare average square foot prices for residential real estate in central London versus central Manchester. And here I have two options, right? We're going to use the web. That's exactly what we want to research. We could use our Google Drive, but in this case, we don't have the sources. So we're going to use the web to find them. And then here we have two capabilities. We have fast research and deep research. And these are the two main functions that we're going to be using in this video. I'm going to be comparing the difference. Let's begin with a fast research. We're just going to input our prompt. We're just going to hit send. And as you can see right here, it's going to start researching. What this is doing is it's currently scanning the web. It just searched what we just input in there, which is real estate prices in Manchester versus London. And here we can start seeing what happened. It just went through 10 sources. So we have these 3 plus 7 more. If we click here on view, let's check it out. We can see all the sources right here. Cost of living comparison between London, UK property price per foot rankings, London, UK real estate market outlook 2026. This UK city is now delivering 77% yields. Manchester property price forecast. So we have here different government websites, different investor websites, etc. And these are all of our sources. Now, let's imagine, for instance, that I want to exclude one of these sites that I just found. Okay, so let's imagine that I wanted to, these are all seem like pretty reputable sources. I'm going to let's imagine eliminate this one, cost of living comparison, because I'm more interested from the investor point of view. And all of the other sources are related to that. This one is more focused on the consumer. So the cost of living in a city, that's everything. That's not just rent. That's also food, that's transport, everything else. So I could take this source and deselect it. And now I'm not going to be importing that. So now I have 9 sources. I'm just going to click here on import. And what's going to happen is all of this information is now going to be sent into my project. And whenever I ask a question, it's only going to use these sources to give me an answer. Okay. First of all, you can see here we get a summary of the question of the resources that we have in here. These sources examine the evolving landscape of the United Kingdom's real estate market with a particular emphasis on the significant rise of Manchester as a primary hub for investment and growth. While traditional London markets face high cost and yield compression, northern regions are experimenting a surge in house prices and rental demand driven by urban regeneration and corporate relocation. Perfect. Here we can see we also have a few guiding questions that we could ask. So for instance, we could say, why is Manchester property market currently underperforming London's growth? Amazing. Let's click right there and we're going to ask the question. And what it's doing, as you can see, it's analyzing our files, researching our docs. It's going through our sources to give us an answer based on such sources. Okay. We could also go one by one, guys. So we could investigate them. So for example, let's imagine that I'm interested in this article right here. I have my source guide. So it's giving me a summary of this source. And then, of course, we have the link where we can just click on it and it's going to redirect us to such link so that we could read and make sure that, in fact, this is a source that we want to include. So here's the entire article and here is the website that we are using for this comparison. Okay, so you can check, validate, and make sure that these sources are to your liking. Perfect. Now let's go back to our question, and here we can see our response. So we asked, why is Manchester's property market currently outperforming London? Manchester's property market is currently underperforming London due to a convergence of relative affordability, rapid economic expansion, corporate relocation, and superior returns for investors. And then here we have all of the analysis concluding this. Now, another cool thing within the response, and why I like this so much, is as you can see, it is citing sources. So it just gave us a fact here. It says that it is more affordable than London. Okay, prove it. How are you just saying that it's more affordable? Well, here's my source. It tells me exactly which source it used. I can click on it and go check it out to give me this fact. Number 1, the average property in London cost £500,000, while Manchester is £230,000. Again, it just stated a fact. Give me your source. Well, here it is, source number 2. And we can see exactly what it's taking from the article, and I can click and view my source. Okay, so it is a very fast way using NotebookLM to find different sources that we can use for our responses. And we can double check and make sure that everything is correct and concise. And remember, it is a source grounded. It's not making up these numbers. It's only checking those 9 sources that we selected initially to give us this response, hence the high quality that it has. Now, like I said, we've made previous videos on NotebookLM, and we actually did a video going through all of these functionalities here because for learning, these are great. We're going to use just one quickly, which is an infographic. We're going to create a quick graph. In this case, we are just generating one right here. But actually, let's open this up and we can pick exactly which infographic we want. So in this case, let's do it in landscape. And let's see, let's use a professional infographic right here. And I'm going to say, compare investing in London versus Manchester real estate. Okay, and we're going to generate an infographic just like so. Okay, we're going to have to wait a bit. This does take maybe 3-4 minutes, but what it's going to do is going to look at my input, in this case, make this infographic comparison, and it's going to check the 9 sources, take the information from there, and then generate the infographic for us. We're going to wait a bit until this is ready, and we'll come back once it is. Okay, so it took about 2-3 minutes maybe, and we generated 2 infographics, one in general about the UK property market, and then one comparing London and Manchester. So let's open it up and see what it made for us. Here we go. We have the different returns, the average price growth, the rents rises, the construction, the average entry cost. So we have a pretty cool infographic made in just 2 minutes from our sources, which is quite cool. And then let's check out the second option that we had. So this one's the UK property market. Here we go. Let's wait for it to load. And here we go. It talks a bit about the overall state of the market, and then here we have London and we have Manchester. Quite cool. So let's imagine that you are an investor and you like maybe posting on LinkedIn. How easy was this? You can now ask a few questions, you write your own article in NotebookLM, and then you have your own infographic to go with your LinkedIn post in just 2-3 minutes. Quite impressive. Now, the next thing that I want to do is add more sources, but we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to go once again to add sources. We're going to put in the same question, compare the average square foot price for residential real estate in central London versus central Manchester. The difference is, instead of fast research, we're going to do deep research. And as you can see, let's look at the comparison. It says right here, so fast research is great for quick results. You saw it took about a minute to get our sources before. Deep research is in-depth report and results. So it's going to look at way more sources. It's going to investigate them. It's going to read them, proofread them, compare them, and it's going to give us a full report before even beginning. So this can take a bit. It can usually take, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the question that we're asking, the topic, and the specifications that we've given in general. So this is going to take longer. While I'm waiting for this, I also want to show you something quick that we sometimes dismiss, which is NotebookLM has been around for about 2.5 years, maybe 3. Still, most people don't use it, but how did we used to research before? So if I wanted to do this exact same research, find my sources related to real estate, check my information, ask questions, create an infographic, what was the usual procedure 3 years ago? And for people who don't know this tool, maybe even just a few weeks ago, you had to go into Google. You'd have to paste this right here. And, well, now you get this little summary, which is, it's okay, it's not bad. This AI overview, which, by the way, is made by Gemini, which is the exact same technology that we use in NotebookLM. But NotebookLM just presents it better and gives you more option. But we had to go one by one checking these sources. So you'd have to open up this article. I used to open multiple tabs just like that. Again, also, why are these articles positioned? These articles are usually positioned by SEO experts. So just because this article shows up first, it doesn't necessarily mean it has the best information. It means it's the best positioned when it comes to search engine optimization. So that's another thing. So you'd open up all of your different sources, and then you'd have to read them, and you'd have to be checking everything, accepting the cookies like I just did right now. You have a massive advertisement here, which takes up half the screen. The experience was way slower and way worse. Now we can just do a quick search and we have AI do the entire thing from us. So the experience, for example, on this site is not the best. So we're actually just going to close it up. And we'd have to repeat this process source by source by source. And then we want to check something. Oh, well, which one had the increase in rent? I need to go through my sources one by one in order to find the answer. So the process was so much slower and less efficient. Now with NotebookLM, we can get our sources just like that. Okay, perfect. So we can see the deep research has been completed. Maybe took about 5 minutes, not much longer than that. And we can see that there were 52 different sources. So compare, the first time was 10, this time it was 52. But we also see here we have other types of resources. For instance, there's a PDF in there. Before we were only looking at articles. So it's actually gone more in depth into the web to find everything. And then also check this out. We have a report from these 52 sources already pre-generated, and we have 52 cited sources in the report, and then we have an additional 19 sources that are not cited. So we could read this report. It's quite large, as you can see here by the bar. It's a very in-depth analysis of absolutely everything. And then here we have all of the sources, so we can check them and import them. In this case, and just to make the video easier and quicker for you guys, I'm going to import them all. And you can see just like that, I've just added another 53 sources to my notebook. Again, I can be checking them. I can remove one if I'm not interested in it. I can add another one. So I can end up with a very high volume of qualified sources that have been either researched by Google or by myself to ask any questions related to any single project. And remember, and keep this in mind, and I know I'm being a bit annoying with it, but it truly is fascinating, the fact that it is grounded to these sources. It's not going to have hallucinations because it's going to be focused on the sources that you yourself have just imported, okay? So you can ask the exact same questions. You can see here we have some Deloitte articles, we have some more government websites. It's even added a Reddit forum with different opinions from investors, so quite interesting, okay? Following this technique, you can end up with a very good knowledge base to research any topic of your interest and end up with very high quality information and very accurate sources and responses to any question that you have. All right, so now that you've watched this video, you now know how to find your sources and research using NotebookLM. Remember that in the channel, you have videos showing you how you can study, how you can learn and practice concepts with the same tools. You can watch that if you're interested. And just another reminder that if you're interested in learning more about AI, we host a free class every single week, and you can sign up to that completely for free in the link that's in the description down below. We host the class once a week completely for free, and we go through different tools like NotebookLM, learning, and how you can use it in a practical manner. Hope to see you there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.